Ever since I was young, I'd love to learn about the world around me. I used to study maps for hours and learn about all the different people groups of the world. And as I got older, I started looking at more pressing global issues. And I started to think about Africa. And we all hear about Africa and how poor it is. But I started to wonder, why is Africa so poor and what can we do to help this? There are many different theories about why Africa is so poor. One of them is neocolonialism. You guys all know Canada, the big friendly country in the north. They actually own half of all mines in Africa. Workers in these mines have to work for 15 hours a day and are subject to prostitution and child labor. Also, Also, China is building infrastructure in Africa for, they promised that it would be for the African countries, but they're actually forcing them to lease it out to China, so basically is owned by China. And they use their own workers, which was not what they promised. But I'd like to take another perspective. This is Magat Wade, and she is a young entrepreneurial woman from Senegal, and she wanted to start a chapstick company in Senegal, but she needed ingredients that were not from Senegal, so she had to import them, and the taxes on these imports were 70% the original cost. Additionally, the tax bracket in Senegal is worth 2 to 3 truckloads of paper. 2 to 3 truckloads of paper for taxes. And to escape the taxes people would pay bribes, and thus leads to African corruption and why the continent is really corrupt. This is what she said: corruption is a natural consequence of stupid, senseless, idiot laws. So what can be done about Africa? What can we do to bring Africa out of poverty? Some people think that foreign aid is the solution, so sending money to Africa. After World War II, the United States sent money to France, the UK, Germany, and look at those countries today. They are booming with trade and industry. Also, Tom's Shoes promised that for every pair of shoes sold here in the US, they would give a pair to Africa. So actually, foreign aid really, really, really hurts developing countries. It's really bad because it strengthens corruption where it already is, and this money goes to government officials, not the people, and the government officials just keep the money for themselves. Additionally, remember Tom's 2-for-1 deal, where they send a shoe over? That destroyed local shoemaking businesses. People often have the mindset that Africa can't do it. They don't have the infrastructure to build shoes, to do all these things. They do. They can build shoes, they can build all these things, and when we bring in free stuff for them, it destroys these companies, putting people out of business. Magat Wade also said this quote: some of Africa's most entrepreneurial people are right now serving as fish food at the bottom of the ocean because there are not enough jobs. Why aren't there enough jobs? Because the business climate sucks so much that people like me can't do the work of creating companies and jobs. She's talking about the migration crisis of people fleeing Africa to go to Europe because living in Africa the quality of life down there is really bad. So what can be done? I took the step of industrialization. So I know that sounds extreme, but take the country of South Korea, for example. In the 50s, South Korea was really, really, really poor, actually poorer than African countries are today. But in the 70s, they pushed forward with making car machinery and phones and stuff like that. And they are now booming, and everyone knows South Korea, Squid Game, K-pop. It is a huge country. It's the 12th richest in the world. So it worked for them. It also worked for China, Japan, and other East Asian countries. And might I add that they did this with no foreign aid at all. So we obviously can't just stop foreign aid because that would be detrimental to developing countries, but we also just can't take industrialization take over because that would lead to the exploitation of Africans. So what I suggest is leapfrogging. So leapfrogging occurs when a nation bypasses traditional stages of development to either jump directly to the latest technologies or explore an alternative path of technological development involving emerging technologies with new benefits and new opportunities. Basically, take the example of landlines and phones. Africa actually has wide use of cell phones. Everyone has a cell phone over there, well, not everyone, but lots of people have cell phones. But they never built landlines. Like we had landlines and then we had phones, but Africa went straight from having nothing to cell phones. So it's kind of like this idea of jumping ahead. So if we start opening up these African countries to have more economic freedom, people will get more jobs, and Africa has the infrastructure of clean water. They have grocery stores, stuff like that. And so Magat Wade said this quote, "If I have a job, then guess what? My malnutrition problem goes away." It goes poof. Even my access to clean water goes poof. If you have a job, you can pay for the water and food. So I basically did this presentation to spread awareness about this issue, and I think that in the next coming years we can see Africa emerge as the world's next superpower. Magat Wade also said that the United Nations and even citizens of developed countries like us need to encourage African governments to stop strangling their entrepreneurs and to advocate for greater economic freedom in all countries so that all people everywhere get a chance to